Hello to all the ladies of the Yes Please launch crew. This is your exclusive Yes Please survey briefing that you're getting ahead of everybody. In fact, the only people that know this information are my publicists, okay? And they're going to be briefing media in the month of May. I can also tell you that last I guess earlier in April, I was with the Executive Leadership Council's Power of Women at Work, and this information was inside that workshop deck. So those ladies were able to hear about it, but there was probably about 10 women. You're still very new to this, okay? So let me first tell you that the premise of the book is as much about getting to the C suite as it is understanding how you need to be prepared and your mindset and your soul and your heart need to be before you can even make the journey. And after you become a C suite leader, you're going to have this down pat, and that is how to be happy, how to keep your peace. That peace and productivity mastermind, very much a part of what we're talking about here in this book. And that is how to get to that quiet mind, that calm mind, so that you can focus. And you need focus before you can get to insight. You get insight before you get to innovation and creativity. When you're in that process, you experience flow, and that's neuroscience. That's where you get that hit of dopamine because you've accomplished something, and then you start to the next task and you go into a loop, and that creates a sense of accomplishment, and that's positive emotion. So we're all about getting to the positive emotion, securing that for Black women especially, and other women of color, and then women in general. And just so you know, my focus for this book, The Sweet Spot, is the double disadvantage. It is the follow up to No Thanks, which lays out very clearly who my sweet spot target is. While it is open to other women of color, we start with the double disadvantage because if you can solve for the double disadvantage, you can solve for everyone. Another reason why I didn't go after publishers for this book, I did not want to be edited in what I had to say. This book needed to get out the way it was written. So, this survey was held for 100 high performing Black women leaders. In fact, I got more than that, but only counted in the results the feedback from 100 high performing Black women leaders. And it's about their experience in corporate America. It was a very brief survey, but within it, because of the questions that were asked and the responses that I received, we're able to glean some incredible insights. Let's get going. So, Black women leaders are not happy in corporate. 90% of them said anything from being challenging to stressful, and some of them just said meh. But only 10% describe or use words that would evoke positive emotion, joy, or happiness. That's startling. And this got me on my journey to asking, why is this? Because as we know, positive psychology reveals that happy people are successful people. Going back to my book, No Thanks, 7 Ways to Say, I'll just include myself. We understand from various research, well documented research, that the middle of the leadership pipeline is gushing women. And the women that is gushing out at a faster rate is Black women, followed by women of color, and then followed by white women. Women are leaving the leadership pipeline faster than anyone, but Black women are leaving faster. This could be why. But we get underneath this number with a couple of other questions that I asked. I asked my Black women leaders by race and by gender who was the most helpful and who was the most hindrance to them on their leadership journey in corporate. This is very interesting. While Black women leaders and white male leaders tied for first, I put a caveat there because the insight is that only 7% of Black women are even in executive roles in the Fortune 500 to begin with. You know for sure that only two of those are CEOs. That percentage is even more minuscule in other parts of the business and other parts of the C suite. As you work your way down, you start to see more women, but around the GM level, director, VP, that's when Black women start to fizzle out. You start to see a drastic decrease in the number of Black women that are there. So while Black women are very supportive of other Black women, 43% of Black women said this. The same 43% said white men were too. Now, the reason why we asterisk the Black woman here is because there aren't enough Black women to make a difference, but there are enough white men to make a difference. This is not surprising to a lot of other Black women that I raised this question to anecdotally, but they hadn't really thought about it outside of, wow, in my experience, this is what happened to me. But they did not know that this was a shared experience. White men and Black women tied for the most helpful in their leadership aspirations. But let's go look at this other number because you see, 22.5% of those were white women who were helpful. And let me be clear, that's 22.5% of the 100 Black women leaders that responded said white women had been helpful. Another 15% said other women of color, and 12.5% of these Black women leaders said Black men. Let's look at the next one. Black women leaders say hindrances based on race and gender look like this. Nearly 60% of these Black women said white women were the biggest hindrance in their leadership aspiration. Now, I'm going to go back for a second. Let's see where white women show up on this helpful list. 22%, 22.5. This is a real opportunity area for white women to begin to really look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? Black women have shared what they thought, and this book gives voice to Black women, which is very, very rare. The rest of the numbers look like this: 44% of Black women said white men had been a hindrance. Look at that. They're on both lists. Not shocking, but the insights are very interesting. 22% of them said other women of color. And in this instance, this clumps in Black women and other women of color. So we can be our own problems too. And then 9% said Black men. That tees up the way this book actually unfurls. But let me give you the insight. Black women leaders would be our biggest accomplices if not for a great deficit in the leadership numbers. That's a huge insight. And it drives what we have to say about sponsorship and also what's driving women to be isolated. Black women are isolated in corporate America, which is the biggest issue leading to their unhappiness. That's the insight. That's the villain in the book, isolation. The hero in the book, you'll have to wait to find out. But here are the other two insights that undergird this. There's an incredible murkiness in who Black women can trust in the workplace. Look, you saw it yourself. If you see the same people on both lists, helpful and hindrance, when you enter a new workspace, how do you know who you can trust? And sometimes you can't even trust your own people or other people of color. And women sometimes. we can undercut other women. There's also a push pull between those helping and those hindering us, and it can leave us disillusioned. Disillusionment, isolation. I think we found our top reasons for the unhappiness. You've gotten to the core of the setup for Yes Please. Now, our next step is going to be that we will begin to meet more often. This stream is recorded, okay? I ask that you do not share it. That being said, if you want to start hyping up Yes Please online, you can. I will provide you with graphics. That's a part of your responsibility as the Yes Please crew. Soon, you will receive the edited and ready to go to publish pre release ebook version of Yes Please so you can start to read it. And the other responsibility will be to go on Amazon and Goodreads and write your reviews. Look, if you have questions about any of this information, please reach out to me. You can reach me on the chat. Some of you have my phone number. You can text me. That's fine too. Email me. Say something on the wall. Tell me what you think. But I'll be posting this on the wall this afternoon. I will see you online. Thanks for your support.